Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I'm so excited to meet a very respected friend. So I got to tell the story. So when we were new in the entrepreneurial business, so Seven Sisters, we were just getting our feet wet. All of us sisters packed up a minivan with all of our stuff and went to several homeschool conferences. And at one of them, right across the walkway from us in the vendor hall, was this lovely, gracious, kind, interested woman named Rebecca Farris with the Well Planned Day. And she and her youngers were just the nicest people ever. And it has stayed with me since that day, like well over a decade.
Wow.
Gracious people stay in my brain. So I am so excited to finally have a chance to talk to Rebecca on the podcast. So Rebecca from the Well Planned Day, say hey to everybody and tell us your
Hi.
homeschool story.
It's so good to be with you. And I remember you guys because I just remember it was so fun it's always fun to see new entrepreneurs, but also just the passion you guys had to helping homeschoolers. So it's interesting that it's been a decade. So it's good to see you again. And I would probably classify myself as the reluctant homeschooler. I was first generation homeschooler. So I was homeschooled myself and I didn't have the best experience. So I was like, I didn't even want to get married or have kids. I was just going to go my way. And as you can tell, I tend to be a little bit more like business minded. So I'm going to go into corporate America. And Providence had different plans for me. As I often say, as the well-planned gal, my life did not go as planned, and that's okay. And so I had Jenny, my first, and then I had subsequently in 7 years, I had 5 kids. And when my youngest was 4 and I started thinking about preschool, I had already taught her to read. She was we just did it in play. There was no formal structure. And then I said, well, I'll just wait one more year. Then kindergarten came and I said, well, I'll just wait one more year. And her sister now is in preschool. She's in first grade. And I'm like, so I don't feel like I formally committed to homeschool until my kid was like in 4th grade. It was just like, we'll just do one more year. They are now, I have 5, they are grown. I'm an empty nester. I have 5 grandkids. My 5th one was born in the last week. And it's a great season of life, but it's also a season that I can do a lot of retrospect into what I did right, what I did wrong, what I wish I would have done, and how can I help other homeschool moms now that I'm on the other side of it. And with what I learned more than my kids learned in homeschooling, for sure. Yeah. I would, again, probably the reluctant homeschooler.
But that's such the perfect homeschool story. Is I always say a mom's mind plans her way, but God directs her path. And 1 year at a time, and then you realize I'm on this road and this is where we are going. And what you have done in the gifts that God's given you is invest back into the homeschool community. And one of the ways you do that is with the resources you provide. So I was excited that we got to connect because, we're doing the Homeschool High School podcast. And I get so many questions from moms saying, my teens haven't learned how to organize their lives and their time. Of course, some of us moms, we continuously struggle with that too, which is why I like planners and which is why your resources can help. So I was wondering if you could explain for a novice who doesn't know what a planner is, what that is, and also the planners and the other tools you have for high schoolers, because really it's awesome. So jump into that, please.
Absolutely. And I would say that I first developed the high school resources as my children became high schoolers, because it was the question of what's next? How do I plan for it? How do I make sure, again, I didn't have a great experience homeschooling, so I wanted to make sure they did. So I always felt this weight of like, make sure you're prepared. So, but I also, even since finishing homeschooling, I started studying neurology, sociology, psychology, and building frameworks around personality. And so this year I'm launching an entire pedagogy on curious mind and how our personalities, how we learn based on our personalities. And so that's coming. But what I can try to do is speak a little bit to high school, but I'm going to tell you, every single high schooler is different. Mm-hmm. They learn differently. They make decisions differently. They value different things. And so the best thing you can do as a parent is, if you can understand that, if you can understand how they best learn, and this just takes, Carl Jung is a great example. He's a psychologist from 100 years ago. He just observed human behavior. He did not have technology. And that's what we can do as homeschool moms, just observe human behavior. What are they doing? What do they value? What are the decisions they're making? Now, how can I take that and use it for good? Like, how can I leverage what I know about them to get them to do their chores, do their schoolwork, become responsible, learn time management? And so I'm going to help you with that this coming year as we get more into that. But for what I did with my oldest, when she was going into 9th grade, what I did know is she was already bent for college. She just had the mind for college. She had the aspirations to do things that college would be required. And so now not every student is bent for college, and we have the entire AI revolution that is going to make blue collar work more important than white collar work. So it might be trade schools, right? So it depends on where they're going, if you combine all of it. So again, this is why homeschooling is a career choice, not just the thing you wake up and do. Like it takes it is C-suite level work if you're really doing it well, right?
Yes.
So I would say planners can be useful for some, not all, but I also have visual chore charts because those are more useful to some than others. So I would say it depends. And then there are like the reluctant planners, and those I have one of those too. Having 5, I had a nice little distinction of test modeling.
No, exactly. Like, how can you have 5 completely different personalities? Yep, that's where my house was.
So I had one daughter who loved to know where she was going, right? She wanted to know what the end goal was, and then let's pace that through the whole year. So for her, I needed to communicate the end goal and then work with her. Not when they're in high school, we should be preparing them to be self-managed, right? Mm-hmm. And we will do them the greatest benefit in the workforce if they are self-managed, because business owners appreciate the self-managed, right? And listen, but based on personality, that's not going to be everybody. But you can try. And what's interesting is, even if it's not their bent, it doesn't mean it can't be trained.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for her,
some is natural, some is learned. So that's
exactly. And that's actually development, right? That's the development we want, because if we're just going to do the easy thing, what we're bent for, there's no character that comes out of that, right? So anyway, so my oldest daughter, I would tell her what the end goal was every year. Sometimes I just work it into semesters if it was too much for her at 9th grade. But I was trying to train self-management. And of course, I was trying to do this beginning at 4 years old. So at 4 years old, it was, so if you're wondering about high school now and you have a toddler or preschooler or middle school or elementary, there are things you can do to prepare to make high school way easier. So, right. So we had our morning 5. So no matter what, every morning. And I remember the day my oldest got married, I went up to her bedroom. And I was like, hey, what you doing? She's like, I'm almost finished with my 5. Like, she's an adult and still doing the same practice. And this was not her bent. This was completely trained. And so every morning when they were 3 to 4 years old, we started the morning 5. So brush your teeth, wash your face, make your bed, clean your room, get dressed. Very simple, right? But it kind of establishes what will help them the rest of their life.
Yes.
So then I had a daughter who it took me the longest time to figure out how to help her best. And she's super smart, but super quiet, very introverted. And what I learned is she just needed to know the plan for the day. She didn't need to know the big long plan. She didn't need to know next week. She just needed to know today. So I would help her each morning assess what happened the day before and make the plan for the day. And as long as she had that, it helped regulate her time. Because without it, we called it living in her own dreamland. She would live in her own dreamland, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the planner was a tactile way to like go back to boots on the ground. I call it, like, this is what has to happen today. And it was a continual reminder for her. And then I had one of the boys who I literally removed his chair from the dining room table because he does better if he can move freely in order to learn, right? We give lots of things labels, but no matter the label, it's how he learns, right? So for him, it was audio. I would help him make the plan. He did not like that at all. He didn't want to sit down for it. But again, training. And then for him, it was just a matter of either, he did best when I posted it. I would literally take it and post it on the wall. So I'd make a photocopy of his planner, post it on the wall. Why? Because he's walking around. He's not sitting at
I
the
had
table.
one of those.
Yeah. So I think a planner is a tool no different than a hammer. How do we use a hammer? There's 1,000 ways to use a hammer, right? But it's the situation. So you read the situation and then you adjust how you're going to use it. And at the end of the day, you still are going to bang with the hammer, a nail or something. There's many things you can bang with a hammer, but a planner, you're still going to write down what needs to be done. You can write it down after the fact. I had one kid that was an after the fact kid. They already knew in their head. They kept it all up here. And I would say, that's okay, but you have to communicate with me. So you have to write it down, right? So just, child is different.
So if we were having a listener who was saying, so what does a high school planner look like? One for teens? How does that look and how does it work?
So the way I designed my planners was I'm always thinking holistically. I think we do a disservice when we think education is math, science, history, and language arts, right? Education is teaching them about relationships, teaching them about money management, teaching them about cleanliness, teaching them about time management. So my planners have all of that. So in the high school, especially, depending on if you're trade school, college, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship, whatever you're going for, it gives you the direction. But ultimately, it's trying to help them establish some basic goals, some basic scheduling, and then it has the place every day for their work assignment, their responsibilities. Now and then their morning and evening routines. So now we've got cleanliness, we have time management, we have responsibilities, and that might be piano, soccer, or a job, right? Or taking out the trash, right? And so chores, and then we have our schoolwork too. So it's a holistic approach. It's a unique. They don't need just help getting lessons done. That's not going to serve them as well as knowing how to manage life.
Right. Yeah, and from my side of the screen, I work in my counselor's hat and a lot with teens on how to train your brain to, prepare for adulthood. And so a planner like yours gives them goals. So it's teaching them future orientation. It gives them, academic and life preparation tasks and all the way down to like, here's some specifics. So it's really, you think the whole brain development, the processes that they need. And so this is an investment in helping teens learn, like you said, self-management, academic success, but the way to use their time and their skills towards success. So, and in an attractive format.
And I would even say, to go one step further, we are trained in culture, in society, for specificity. And what I mean by that is we rarely think outside the box. In fact, I know neurologically less than 10% of people think outside the box, right?
Mhm.
So I'm looking at homeschool moms who are only referencing what they experienced and they're bringing it forward.
Mhm.
And what they experienced was not the help in learning how to do chores, learning how to take responsibilities, learning time management, learning money management, all of these life relationship management, all of these life skills they need. Their parents didn't get that. They got woodshop,
Yeah.
and they got home ec.
And home ec. Yep.
Yes. But we have the opportunity. So part of the purpose of the planner is also to help the parents understand you can facilitate all of it. You can break the model and open it beyond academics and say, okay, I'm preparing a child for life. I think between technology has certainly changed so much in the sense of it's taken away a lot of conversations. And I think our parents and our parents' parents had conversations with each other that led to, and I guess we're kind of doing it right now with podcasts, that led to the awareness of the parent. I think one of the things that this generation, even with all that's on Instagram and TikTok, they are still missing the awareness of what needs to happen in their children. And they're just taking what they experienced and bringing it forward. So I'd love to change that too.
Well, thank you for investing in the community. And speaking of investing in the community, there are so many ways that you have been a steward of what God's given you and your experiences and gifts. And so we were talking earlier that, over the years, I don't know how many businesses that like
I have dozens.
yeah, dozens. Like this is just the willingness and the faith to follow what doors God opens. And so there's one you mentioned has to do with some personality style kind of things. And you mentioned Carl Jung. So Myers-Briggs personality test is my favorite thing of all time.
Well,
Yeah.
so I take that and go 10 steps deeper into cognitive function stacks and exactly how a student perceives starting at the age of 4.
Yeah.
We as mom and dads can learn. And I have a grandson who's 3 and he's my little test model and everything. And it truly, it's the thing that I wish I would have done with my children. Like if I would have understood them because our personalities were so different, that there was friction or there was a lack. I'm kind of a rare type in personality modeling. And it's left me wondering why I was weird my whole life.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it also left me kind of void of some things. Like, for example, I think very logically and critically, which is great.
Yes.
But as a female, I'm expected to be caring and nurturing. I loved my kids to death.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought structure and routine was more important than cuddles.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I would say my kids could look back on their childhood and I had 5 feelers, meaning they were all, that was more important. A hug, an encouraging word was more important than getting the task done. And for me, getting the task done was the most important thing. So just as adult, and I'm very thankful my kids are very gracious because they value, right? That's what they value. And we have lots of conversations around it. And so I'm very intentional about saying the encouraging word and giving the hug and cuddling up on the couch. I mean, we did get on the couch and do lots of read alouds, but I came at it from a very structural perspective, not a relationship building perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my personality. I tend to build things, right?
Yeah.
So just learning all that, now I'm hoping to share that with the homeschool audience and with actually teachers in public and private school as well, how we can understand children, what they need, what they value, leverage it to build this curious mind of lifelong learners.
And that's it, to understand the gifts that God has given us. Like our personality is a gift from him. Yeah. And in his sense of humor, he usually gives us ones that are very different than ours. And we all grow together in the fruit of the Spirit. So that's exciting. And then we can just drop a little teaser to stay tuned that there are some very interesting, I don't know, give me
I will tell you. So There is new legislation on a federal level across all 50 states. Homeschooling will be 100% funded by our taxes in a way that we have never experienced before. And we are building the infrastructure right now. And in 2027, every single homeschooler has the opportunity to have their curriculum, enrichment, their supplies, and their technology fully funded. And it's not, a lot of people instantly go, ooh, government. This is being directed by a homeschool mom. It is a government initiative, and I sit at a very fortunate place to be administrating it. And because of that, I'm trying to use my 35 years in homeschooling, my mothering of 5, my grandmothering, and my deep, deep desire for children to be educated in the way that their mind works, to facilitate the absolute best opportunities for parents and students.
So there's a teaser for you, and we will be back with more information when the time is right. So, all right. So Rebecca, let's give everyone connecting information. So if they want to get in touch with you or visit your website, where will they find you?
So Well Planned Day is our holding company, and under that you'll find Well Planned Gal for all of your planning and resources. We have a new website we're moving all of our homeschool resources over to, but just Well Planned Gal, and you'll start seeing everything else we're developing and the Curious Mind and all of that pop up.
So for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, you will see in the comments links to Well Planned Gal. And those who are listening on the audio, we will have the links in the show notes, but you can find her. Just search Well Planned Gal. All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you for joining us here on the Homeschool High School podcast. It's been fun. And after a decade to see you and to know that your business is still there. So. All right. Well, this has been the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by 7sistershomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. For those of you guys who are over on Facebook, join the 7 Sisters Homeschool Facebook group, and you can share questions or cool things that you have learned, because we have lots of 7th sisters who want to know and want to help. And thank you to Seth Tillman for editing. All right. We'll see everyone next week.